And breaking tonight, reports that the administration just gave the unions a gift on their health care benefits. You may remember last summer, back in July, some of America's biggest unions wrote the administration, demanding special subsidies for their compliance with the law. They wrote in part, "Time is running out. Congress wrote this law. We voted for you. We have a problem. You need to fix it. We continue to stand behind real health care reform, but the law as it stands will hurt millions of Americans, including the members of our respective unions." And they promised to make this a political issue for the administration. And while that first request was denied, they did not get subsidies because the law specifically forbade that. Some of the unions are getting a break after all. Senator John Thune is a South Dakota Republican and co-author of the Union Tax Fairness Act, and he's been watching the administration on this to make sure that the unions don't get some gift that the American people don't get. So what happened, Senator Thune? Did they get one or didn't they?
They did, Megan, and this is outrageous. Every American ought to be outraged. This is cronyism at its worst. And basically what the president said was that he and his friends are above the law, because there is a reinsurance tax in Obamacare that's designed to apply to all self-insured plans. And what the president did is he waived that for certain self-insured, self-administered plans, namely unions, so that they don't have to pay that tax. And because the tax was designed to raise a certain amount of revenue, that means that everybody else has to pay a higher tax.
So they have to get, let me stop you there. So they have to get, under the law, I think it's $25 billion in the first year raised. Forgive me if that's wrong. I think that's what the number is. And so if you take the unions out of it, or some core group of unions out of that, you still got to get to that core number, and the rest of the people have to pay it.
Correct. And the way they had it laid out is they figured it was going to be about $63 a head. And the tax is designed to absorb the cost of people with pre-existing conditions. Well, when you exempt a big group of people like they have with the unions, what that means is other employers, charities, faith-based organizations end up having to pay a higher tax. So what they have done is they have shifted this so that everybody else is out in the cold. They've left everybody else out holding the bag, while a lot of unions have made out like bandits.
And it's not just, I mean, you're talking about churches, charitable organizations, and so on that are now going to be picking up the slack left by these unions who just got a bit of a gift.
Right, and what it says, Megan, the bigger picture here is that we've had all kinds of delays, all kinds of exemptions, all kinds of carve-outs, but this is particularly disturbing because basically you're saying that we're above the law, and if you're a friend, if you're an ally, if you're a donor to the president, you get special treatment. Everybody else gets stuck.
Well, and he did it with his pen,
with
his pen and his phone, did he not? I mean, this is another thing that was not approved by Congress.
Well, that's right. And you know, really, they came in, the unions came in, as you mentioned, and tried to get this premium subsidy that would allow them to double dip, because they already get the tax exclusion that applies to employer health plans. They wanted that, so what the administration gave them in lieu of that was this exemption from this insurance tax. But
it was the consolation prize.
It's a consolation prize. They got what they wanted. They're being helped. Everybody else is left out in the cold.
I got to run, but did they get what they wanted? The Washington Post is calling this a loss for the unions because it says they wanted an even bigger exemption, and they only got a more narrow one.
The only loss is the American taxpayer, and the other middle-class families are going to get hit with this tax. I mean, this is a win for the union. There's no questions about it.
Senator, good to see you.
Always good to see you. Thanks, Megan.